We're going to talk about the gender issues now as well. In engineering now in UCD, what's the breakdown between boys and girls?
I'd say about in the 25–30% region female participation, and it has plateaued at that for very many years now.
And why is that? Why do you think you haven't been able to bring it up further?
I mean, there have been initiatives, and Regina will know many of them over the years, and has been associated with many of them over the years. You know, we've gone out there, we've got the message out. Where we have more success in attracting female students to engineering is parts of engineering such as biomedical engineering, maybe the environmental end of energy engineering. So maybe we need to work more. Engineering, you know, the image of it as being quite a technocratic profession is of course not at all true. As those of us who work in the area know, it's all about communication, it's about solving problems for the good of humanity in all sorts of creative and exciting and engaging ways. Maybe we need to get that part of our programme, bring that more to the forefront and more to the attention of students.
Regina, what do you think if it's still a quarter of those going into engineering being female?
I think it's an awful shame. It's very low still. I mean, some of the brightest and the best students in the country, and we see this in the results every year, are female. And I think, you know, if we could attract a fair share, if you like, of those into our profession, I think it would be for the benefit of all the companies in the room here and for the country. I think a certain amount of it is about a stereotypical view that kids have about what's involved in engineering, and it's about building bridges, it's about wearing hard hats maybe and getting your hands dirty. And the average 16-year-old girl probably doesn't find that attractive. But I remember I spoke to, I think it was about 400 transition year students last year as part of Engineers Week, which was one of the most daunting assignments that I ever had, all girls. And they asked me, you know, what was attractive about doing engineering. So I said, well, I got a job in Amdal, and within 6 months I was on a training program in Sunnyvale, and I was driving down Highway 1 in a Mustang convertible. That was what was great about engineering. And loads of the girls came up to me afterwards and go, oh, really? I know that sounds very trite, but, you know, there's an excitement. It's a passport to go anywhere in the world. There's a huge, and you can do a huge diversity of things. Whereas if you go into law or that, there's a very, people know what it is, but it's actually quite a narrow set of things that you end up doing. But we have to somehow connect on an emotional level with girls to get them to see the bigger picture about what this is, and widen the stereotypical sort of geeky, if I want to use that expression, impression that people have about it.
The responsibility I have is across EMEA, so as you can imagine there's a wide variety of issues moving from Europe to the Middle East, Africa. So in general, across that region, access to educational opportunities for women is a problem. Luckily in this country, that's not where the problem is. The problem is in the numbers of young girls that are taking up the opportunity to... So
we have the access, that's not the problem.
That's not the problem. So it's obviously societal, if you look at it that way, but I guess I met you at the Young Scientist exhibition last month, and the incredible thing was the top 4 prizes, the individual winner and the individual runner-up, and the group winners and the group runner-ups were all young girls. So there's not a problem in terms of talent, and there's no biological reason why women should not be as successful in engineering and science careers as men. But there's these kind of cliffs that the numbers fall off, you know, as you go from a level to level. And essentially all we can do, as Regina has said, and actually I just wanted to point out that I got started in this journey 2 years ago, and I was lucky enough to share a panel with Regina at I think it was the Smart Futures, and Regina was talking about her daughter, who was at the age of 12 or 13, was being streamed, if you like, into, you can either take science or art, or you can take such and such or such and such languages or science. So one of the first things we can do is we can remove those T-junctions that our students, all students, male and female, come to at a certain age. We can arm the people that advise young girls on their career choices. We can arm them with better information. We can do that by mentoring. We can do that by providing positive role models. We can do that by talking about the issue, by showing what kind of careers are possible for young girls if they continue to stay in maths and science subjects for longer. And as Bruna says, it's not possible to catch up in third level if they haven't got the basic foundations there of calculus and algebra at a young age. So it's about mentoring young girls to show them the future possibilities and say, if you want to help solve these grand societal problems that we heard Maura Geoghegan-Quinn talking about at the Young Scientists, you know, if you want to participate in the jobs of the future, the foundation of those will be STEM. If you don't have a good foundation in maths and science subjects, you won't be able to help solve these problems. And, you know, unlike Trapattoni, I don't think you can leave half of the talent at your disposal behind if you're going to solve these huge problems in the future.
There's a huge population of people, both female and older people. You know, we mentioned the voluntary redundancy programs, people that have left the workforce, that have a huge contribution still to make, that have a huge amount of experience on their side. But we have this, people have to retire at a certain age, and all of this, these structural things. And maybe we need to think beyond that in terms of diversity, bring people back into the workforce. We've had a number of females in our organisation that took time out, maybe 10 years of a block of time to go, you know, have their families, get their home life set up, and have come back in. And now those people are just blossoming. So I think we need to really rethink, and there has been a lot of, you know, reports, World Economic reports in this area in terms of diversity is not just a gender issue. It's a much broader issue.
We established something last year which the Taoiseach launched, which is called the Age-Friendly University, which is really trying to, in a multifaceted way, address the challenges and opportunity of ageing in the broadest sense. But there's an idea we picked up in the US called Encore Careers, and it's ideally tracked at those, particularly those that left employment, particularly the public service in the past 2 years. There's probably about 20,000 people have come out that are, most of whom are in the top of their health, wanting to do more. And this is about providing new opportunities at that stage of life, this Encore Career idea. For example, figures show that you're at your most entrepreneurial between 50 and 57, believe it or not. So one of the programs we will be offering is around the notion of silver entrepreneurship, as they call it, but essentially engaging with older adults and providing new learning opportunities for them, but particularly with a view to either volunteerism approaches or creating new entities like social enterprises. I think there's a recognition that age is not the determinant anymore. It's actually the skill the person has and the attitude the person has.
In the deeply technical roles, age is a determinant there. People gain expertise over time. So they perhaps are your most valuable cohort, and in fact, the people you need to protect, because they've got the skills, they've done this for 20 years, and you know, when the rapid pace of change that we're seeing today is only accelerating, you need people who've been there before, seen it, done it, and are comfortable with that kind of level of change. So for us, age is not in any way a barrier. In fact, it's an advantage. It's a positive advantage.